Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky with Luka Doncic watching from the sidelines. The Lakers, led by LeBron James, stomp the Clippers. Nice night for everyone. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday. No matter how or where you get your podcasts, this one's always going to be free and never behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, which quite many of you are looking at right now. Over 30,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom, Andy, are very excited, not just about the Luka Doncic era, which kicks off hopefully for reals on Saturday. The Lakers are targeting Saturday as a potential debut for Doncic in a Lakers uniform, but also the results of the game itself that the Lakers played at the Intuit Dome on Tuesday night. They just really controlled throughout and dominated a Clippers team that beat them up pretty bad a week or two ago. 122-97 the final score. LeBron plays great. Austin Reaves has a really good game. Rui Hachimura has a good game. Everybody really who contributed for the Lakers. We'll get into all of this next, including LeBron James speaking really for the first time about the trade and about Luka joining the team. So want to let everybody know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Andy, if the vibes were good going into Tuesday's game, just given all the excitement around the trade, they're really good now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really good.
I tweeted out at Cam Brothers and had a little clip that I shot with my phone while watching the game. We've already entered. At the time, we were not even one full game into the Luka Doncic era for the Lakers, and we already had LeBron on the bench next to Luka, talking with Luka and doing the covering my mouth thing so nobody can read my lips, nobody can figure out what we're saying to each other, which is a lot of athletes do this, but nobody leans into the I can't let anybody know what we're actually saying more than LeBron. We already got that chemistry, baby, and the two of them have not even stepped foot on the court together. The Lakers finished the first quarter up 45-29. I believe it was a 10-2 run to close things out. Like, you could tell things were just working for the Lakers, and I think work is a very appropriate word. There was a sequence toward the end of the first quarter where LeBron got sent to the line. He missed both of his free throws, but Jackson Hayes tipped out. Jackson Hayes, by the way, is making the case for himself as like, I've been an all-star in hiding and nobody's paying attention to me. But I wouldn't
go quite that far.
I'm a starting center in hiding and nobody's paying attention to me. But Jackson Hayes tips out the second miss, and it ends up creating a LeBron 3. Yeah. Like, that's how you know it's just all working and clicking for the Lakers.
They shot the ball very well. They hit 9 of their first 15 three-pointers. So, like, that's going to put pressure on the opposing defense. But remember here, the Clippers came into the game as third-ranked defense in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard, active, available for this game. And they hit a couple tough ones, there's no question. But they also had a lot of really clean, good looks. And they moved. They ran the floor well. Dalton Knecht was the recipient of a couple early dunks just from cutting, running the floor, moving really well. LeBron found him. LeBron's passing was insane in this. That couple, you go back, find the highlights. I mentioned the passes to Knecht. He had one to Dorian Finney-Smith, again, cutting to the basket. That was just,
it was a no-look pass through the lane, and DFS, like you said, he's working a back cut, just an uncontested layup. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
It was fantastic. And so all of this stuff, it was, it was really fun to watch. But Austin Reaves was on point. But the offensive continuity led to defensive continuity. And what I like about this, and we're going to get, we'll probably spend the last 2 segments talking about LeBron talking about Luka in this game. But like where the Lakers are when Luka finally takes the floor matters. Where they are literally in the standings, but also kind of where they are as a team. And let's talk about the first part first. With this win, Lakers moved to 10 games over 500. They're tied in the loss column with Denver. And so they are nicely into that tier of top 6, a little bit of cushion between them and 7 through 10, the play and stuff. So you have a little bit of wiggle room if it takes a game or 2 or 3 or 5 to get used to Luka. And then, Mandy, JJ Redick talked about it after the game. The connectivity with what they're doing on the floor, certainly over the last 3 games especially, but even really going back to the Boston game, what they did against Washington at home, all this stuff.
The Knicks, especially.
The Knicks, right. I'm saying the last 3 games, they've really played well. But Redick said that this is as connected of a game as they've played, and this is really as connected of a stretch that they've had. Lakers have won 9 of 11, finished the Grammy road trip 5-1.
Yeah, this was just, JJ said that it felt in a lot of ways like a continuation on both sides of the ball, specifically with how they wanted to play the Knicks. I think just because that's a team with a true 7-footer big guy in Karl Anthony Towns, who they really flustered in that game, Ivica Zubac, who has given the Lakers a lot of fits over the last few years. He was very frustrated, just 8 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 10 rebounds. He got on the offensive glass, but he was really out of sorts. He got a frustration tech shoving Vando, gave him a bit of a mush to the face. Austin Reaves had to hold Vando back, but it's 2 games in a row where the Lakers downsize, they have Jackson Hayes as the one rotation safe center on this team. Like, I mean, he's
limited, but yes, he's the only guy.
Yeah, he's the only guy. And, the Lakers are managing to figure this out. They're managing to get by against now a few teams in a row that have legitimate centers or legitimate size, and they are making it work. I mean, it's also an extension. I know we're going to get into this, but something we've hit on a lot this season. They say that they need to be an execution team. We'll see how much of that carries over upon adding an otherworldly talent like Luka, but they need to play very hard, very focused, very detail-oriented. They've known this for a while. I think intellectually they've understood it, but it's taken them a while to fully embrace it. I think LeBron deserves a lot of credit, which JJ talked about afterwards. Just the way he's playing on both sides of the ball. JJ said afterwards that he thought LeBron led us on both ends, that like he's actually now been asking for substitutions a little more often in games just because he's playing so hard, so consistently. And JJ said, quote, he's going full tilt on both ends of the floor. It would be very easy for him, given his resume and accomplishments and age, and frankly, bank account, if he just wanted to save himself for offense. He's playing on both sides of the ball, giving us everything he has. Another great game from him. And LeBron really has, the last month or so, by and large, been super active on both sides of the ball. And it makes a difference.
It does. And we've talked about that throughout the season, what it looks like. And this is, and we'll probably, because there's no game Thursday into Thursday, Wednesday show into Thursday, talk a little bit more about this. But this is part of the reason I don't buy the notion that the Lakers are like automatically way worse off because of this trade. I mean, we saw what they did Saturday without Anthony Davis. We saw what they did Tuesday without Anthony Davis and Max Christie, who, by the way, had a nice debut for Dallas. So
yes, he did.
It's that when LeBron is able to elevate it, you see what they are like, what he still is capable of doing. We've seen that connectivity and the capability of the team to play well, even when it seems like they should be missing more defenders and they should be allowing more points, and they'll have clunker games. There's no question. And now you're adding, I mean, it's not like you blew up the team and you added, young players with talent and a great future and all that. I mean, yes, technically they added a young player, but he's already one of the 5 best players at worst in the league. And so we'll see what happens, but I just don't buy this. And so now you're looking at what LeBron did on Tuesday. You're adding Luka Doncic to that, and you're like, I don't want to play that in the first round of the playoffs. I don't care if they pick up a center between now and Thursday afternoon. That is not a team that I want to play in the playoffs. So quick programming thing. Obviously, people can tell we are doing this show live. We're going to try to do more live shows, particularly following West Coast games, in order to get the program up to you faster on YouTube. Cuts down on the amount of time that it takes to get the show out and available to all of
and
you
because
guys.
It's a live show, I cannot correct my mistake on the rail. It's a 122.97 win, not a 112.97 win. Typo, my fault again. Trying to get the show to you as quick as we can.
It's not even in the title. It's correct. We'll fix all of these things. Don't worry. But anyway, so we'll turn it now to LeBron and his reaction, really his first comments about the arrival of Luka Doncic. A couple really interesting interviews, both on the floor with TNT and then in the locker room afterwards. Get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. Are you looking for tickets for your next big event, whether a concert, comedy show, sports, whatever? Finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache unless you're using Game Time and Game Time Picks, because it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all of the hard work for you. It curates the best deals, so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. And look, curated deals makes it really simple to find great tickets at a great price. No more sifting through thousands of options and confusing verbiage. And you can grab a super deal for a prime seat. The value is a steal. The Seat View feature, that is a game changer. Before you even hit buy, you can see exactly what the view is going to be like for the venue. It just takes that piece of the mystery right out of it. Best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guaranteed. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. That's how confident they are. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time. Easy cancellation options if something comes up. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
So if you're watching on YouTube on the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel, you can see there in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen the free daily newsletter, lockedondaily.com. You go there, you click on Locked On Lakers, you get this show and a ton of NBA analysis from around the channel delivered to you every day. All you got to do is click on Locked On Lakers when you go to lockedondaily.com, and that's it. The rest of it takes care of itself. They've got technology behind it that is responsible for it. So appreciate you doing that for us. And welcome to all the new people to the channel. The subscribers have really skyrocketed over the last few days. We certainly appreciate it. Andy, it was funny to me watching LeBron's TNT interview. I think for anybody who was still on this, like, of course LeBron knew what was going on. Like, there's no way he did. These interviews, I know he did a good job. What movie was he in? If it was the
Trainwreck.
Right. He did a nice job in Trainwreck.
Playing himself.
Yeah.
We also learned, though, in his reboot of Space Jam, he's not that convincing of an actor.
Right.
No.
And so, like, you watched him go through, like, the full set of, like, reliving that, thinking about what was going on and the disappointment, the shock and disappointment of watching Anthony Davis being traded away, while also being like, wait a minute, there's genuine, and then also I'm a leader of this team. I need to project enthusiasm about what's next with Luka Doncic. This is all happening to him as quickly as it's happening to all of us.
Yeah, he said afterwards with Jared Greenberg on the TNT interview, quote, "It's a bit challenging for sure." He mentioned like it's a whirlwind, and he couldn't even imagine how much of a whirlwind it's been for Luka and AD and Max Christie. Mentioned Jalen Hood-Schifino, Maxi Kleber, like everybody. But then he said, quote, "It's a bit challenging for sure, especially for me. I had 6 years with AD, winning a championship with my guy, obviously one of my best friends, but it's a business. He understands that. It's the business of basketball. We understand that. I know he's going to do well out there in Dallas." And before we get to his thoughts on Luka, this reflects something we had talked about, because there had been a lot of speculation. And as you put it, and I think you're right, a lot of people looking for drama, like looking for conflict. The idea that LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch would feel so personally slighted by being kept out of the loop. And, this signals that LeBron's being put out to pasture and he doesn't matter anymore. He's going to be so insulted. He's going to be demanding a trade to Golden State, which I guess he'd better do before apparently Kevin Durant's going to get traded there, according to all the rumors.
There's a lot going on. I guess you can make trades under the new CBA, as it turns out.
Well, we'll see it when it happens. But like all of that stuff coming out, as we said, LeBron and Rich Paul can intellectually understand the reasons why you need to keep this so quiet. Whether it is because you want to make sure it doesn't get scuttled, whether it's because you want to offer LeBron a certain amount of plausible deniability so it doesn't look like he played a role in trading one of his best friends, or because, if we're being honest, even if LeBron didn't like this, you still do it anyway because it's Luka Doncic at 25 and LeBron's 40. And there's no reason for LeBron really to be upset about the idea of I get to have the twilight of my career with, like, in some respects, the young version of me. But even if he was upset, if you're the Lakers, you cross that bridge when you get there because it's worth it. Like it just is. And LeBron would understand that.
I think this comment from Steven Schrader's that we have up here on the screen here, LeBron is a lot of things, but he's not stupid. This could offer him another shot at silverware if he's lucky. And I think this, at the very least, it doesn't make his championship prospects here any worse and than what it was with AD. And you look at and he talked about in the locker room, he talked about the like how he was asked, like, how long do you think it's going to take? Like, he's like, it's not that long. Like, you're talking about, he views Luka. So, you guys know, meaning the media, that Luka's been one of my favorite players, my favorite player in the league for a little while now. And Luka has just expressed it at his introductory press conference on Tuesday, just tremendous amounts of respect for LeBron. So, I mean, at the very least, at the beginning, the hard part is, obviously two ball dominant guys with high usage. That, you got to figure that out. You got to figure out, well, what are we doing over here with Austin Reaves? Two of those three guys are almost always going to be on the floor, I think, once they really get going. But the quality of the offense that they're going to be able to create, two guys who love to distribute the ball, the shot quality for Reaves, for Dorian Finney-Smith, for Rui Hachimura, for Gabe Vincent, whoever is still here after Thursday afternoon, what's going to be available to those guys is going to be fantastic. And what's available to LeBron, what's available to Luka, based on the two of them being there. And one of the things that is sort of low key, I think, is really important about this big question on defense, because can LeBron do this intensity for another and then have it for the play? I don't know. I mean, you might want to dial it back a little bit here and there. But if the offense gets significantly better and smoother, and they take more shots in rhythm, and they take balanced shots on the floor, and they can get easy buckets in transition or whatever it might be, that will make their defense better, because whatever version of it they have, which is five guys set up in back, able to match with who they're supposed to match to, and all this because they didn't just turn the ball over or heave the ball up with 4 seconds left in the shot clock, which, Andy, everybody who's watched this team all year knows has been a huge problem. That's another way to improve the defense, even if the personnel doesn't.
They are also doing one of my big complaints, bitching for the opening couple months of the season. They've gotten out of the habit of taking, all 8 seconds just to cross half court, and then like another 5 or 6 seconds kind of piddling away, doing nothing before you end up at like 7. It's like, oh, you know what? Let's sort of run something. And then you either end up with a bad shot or a turnover because you're trying to create something out of nothing. You've allowed you've allowed defenders to ball pressure, all that stuff. Like they've been doing a much better job, not even necessarily running, but just being more intentional, being quicker, being more decisive, just, move the damn thing along. And all of that, I think, can get better with Luka, in the fold. Once the two of them and learn how to play off each other, Austin as the trio, everybody learns everybody else's tendencies. It helps that like Dorian Finney-Smith has played with Luka before. Like
and you saw there's a lot of moments on the broadcast where you saw the two of them talking to each other.
There's. I'll tell you right now, I know he can't be aggregated into a trade anyway, but DFS probably feels pretty confident I'm sticking around.
he can afford to buy and not rent, I think, at this point in Los Angeles.
Doesn't hurt.
I know he's got one more year, right? And then
a player option. It's a player option,
which probably opt into. I
don't know. Actually, with Luka,
maybe we'll opt out and then be like,
if I'm him, if I'm DFS, we're real quick, we'll go to break. But if I'm DFS, I go up to Luka and be like, dude, do me a solid. Help me spread the word that I'm kind of the Luka whisperer. That like things were never the same for you in Dallas once I got moved to Brooklyn. Like, just help, do me a solid.
Help me.
Exactly.
You said something that I thought was really interesting when we were kind of kicking around post-game reaction in terms of how the Lakers are playing that is particularly relevant with Thursday coming up. So I'm going to ask you about that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by BetterHelp. What are some of your relationship green flags? We always hear about the red flags that we should avoid, but what if we focused more on identifying positive signs in our relationships, the green flags? And if you're not sure what they look like, therapy can help you identify them, actively practice them, even embody the green flag energy yourself. Whether you're dating, married, building a relationship, working on yourself, therapy can help you form relationships that love you back. And I can speak to the benefit therapy had for me and my family during a really difficult time, like learning better ways to communicate, better ways to listen. The listening is really important. How to compromise without feeling shortchanged. It's incredibly beneficial. And BetterHelp makes it easy by offering online therapy with over 30,000 licensed therapists to choose from. And if you need to switch therapists, you can do so at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
We talked a little bit about it, Andy, in the reaction show. We did a quick reaction show also live. We're really leaning into this live thing. Like, it's just no net, Andy. It's very exciting. But we did.
I'd like to think after like 15 years of radio, we can handle it.
I know. It's not the talking, it's the button pushing. And
I know.
Like the awkward, like mistakes are going to be made, but the talking part, like, I'm not worried about that.
No.
But we talked about it in the sort of post press conference, little mini show that we did Tuesday, that the Lakers are still out there looking for stuff, ideally a center. Rob Pelinka, the word he used to describe the center market was dry. And while, you mentioned in the last segment, this Kevin Durant talk, which seems to be percolating in a very real way, the idea that KD might end up back in Golden State.
which would just be hilarious.
I think it's fair to say this Phoenix thing hasn't worked out.
I just want to say, for the record, and the everydayers who remember, or I guess the obsessives, if it's that important to find the receipts, I said from the beginning, this ain't going to work. It's not going to work.
What's crazy about it, Andy, is it's worked worse than Brooklyn. Because the problem with Brooklyn wasn't that Kyrie, Harden, and Durant didn't work together. It's that they didn't play enough games together. When they actually played, there was 20 games or something like that they actually all played together. They won 80% of those games. Phoenix, they've had Booker and Durant and Beal in the lineup, and it's been terrible. So yes, it isn't looking good in Phoenix. And that is going to be, if you are a team that owns Phoenix Suns draft choices, bully for you. Well, but anyway, point being, a lot could happen between now and Thursday. How much happens for the Lakers, it remains to be seen. But you made the point when we were talking about it. You look at what the Lakers did on Saturday in New York, where they played very similarly. For those of you who are kind of navigating your way over to Locked On Lakers from watching other teams or the Mavericks or whatever it is, missed the game on Saturday. The Lakers looked very similar to what they did. Redick even referenced it, a good carryover from Saturday to Tuesday. That's what they look like against the Knicks. And with the deadline on Thursday, you don't think that's a coincidence?
I tweeted out during the game at Cam Brothers, if people want to follow us on Twitter, same handle on Blue Sky. If we've learned anything from tonight's game, it's that everybody in the Lakers rotation desperately wants to avoid being traded. Each dude played like the fate of Western civilization rested on his hustle. And we've seen that now, the last few games as it's getting closer. And, nobody knew that the AD Luka trade was on. I mean, truly, other than Rob Pelinka and
four
Jeannie
people
Buss,
on the planet knew.
Right. Nobody knew that, but there had been a lot of talk about, if nothing else, who's going to get traded for the center that Anthony Davis is demanding so he can go to the 4. And over this week, by the way, I want to talk a little bit about some of the reporting that's come out that I don't think Anthony Davis got basically talked his way out of LA. I don't think that happened, but that the organization was growing weary of the continual get me a center that I think is interesting just in terms of maybe how it affected the way they saw some of the future possibilities or lack thereof. But I think even before, a guy like Rui has made it super clear he loves it here. Rui loves being a Laker. And part of the reason I think he loves being a Laker is he hated being a Wizard. So Rui truly understands what it's like to be in a crappy situation. He didn't like it there at all. Austin Reaves clearly loves being a Laker. Vando has had to work his ass off just to get back on the court. I think he's tough to trade right now anyway, but I doubt he wants the reward for that to be a trip to Charlotte. You know what I mean? These guys seem like they really want to be here.
I think if you're looking for anonymous sources that are pushing the types of centers that the Lakers ought to go get, anytime you see them connected to a center that makes less than $10 million, that's Rui Hachimura leaking that. Saying, you go get that guy. The $20 million guys, yeah. Rui's that guy's terrible. You don't want anything to do with that guy, because that's the Rui Hachimura.
Rui's a big fan of players that have a salary close to Gabe Vincent's.
Gabe Vincent, or I don't know, Christian Wood or something like that. Just anybody but him.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's you don't, and if you are I think it was our friend Daman Rangula, who's a great follow, even if he didn't say this, still a great follow on social media. It's the Lakers, if you're I'm not saying stars when it comes but the Dorian Finney-Smith level players in the world, Steven Schrader's asking me about the buyout market right now in the chat. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Where this comment went was players like Rui, like DFS, like Vanderbilt, you're going to want to come to play. Role players are going to want to come play with LeBron James and Luka Doncic, because my God, like you want to get a chance to like rehab yourself and get clean shots and look good in a team system. Have those guys passing you the ball. So I do think there's some advantage to that.
The problem for the buyout market, though, for the Lakers is because of where they are with the aprons and stuff, they're going to be limited in like roughly, I think anybody making more than like a league average salary on their original contract that got bought out, the Lakers would not be eligible to bring in. Like, for example, if Lonzo Ball got bought out by the Bulls, the Lakers, I'm pretty positive, cannot get him.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know exactly what the mechanics is. Maybe they can free up a little bit more room post trades. I don't know, but the chances there is. You're correct. There is some
so like
limitation.
with some of the new rules in the new CBA, like a couple years ago, old friend, new friend Markieff Morris was a buyout guy for the Lakers who ended up being a pretty useful guy during the playoffs in that 2020 championship run. I don't know what Markieff's original salary was at the time of the buyout, but things like that will matter in terms of who the Lakers can or can't get. Like if Ben Simmons got bought out by the Nets, I'm like positive, forget whether you want him or not. Like I'm positive they can't get him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I'll defer to you and let somebody else point
Like
out.
99% sure.
There are some restrictions for the Lakers, and the biggest one right now is roster space in terms of the buyout market. But it's just going to be like it's a really good time to have really positive vibes around the team. And you welcome a vulnerable Golden State team that could look completely different and might, let's say they execute a huge trade on Thursday. I'm not sure who would be in uniform on Saturday for them to play. So you might just catch them, even if you look at it and go like, dang, that's a good team. They may not be there yet. So it's an opportunity to go 11 games over 500. Then you have you have Indiana on Saturday. That's hopefully the debut of Luka Doncic. Then 2 games with Utah before the break. I don't care if you are a little bit off and figuring stuff out. If Luka doesn't even play, if he's not ready yet, the team that played Tuesday should win 2 games against Utah. You have a chance to go into the break 10, 11, 12 games over 500 and really be set up nicely to get back into things when Luka's back after the break with a little bit of cushion to get it right. And I think the great vibes combined with great spot in the standings and all of this other stuff, then the feeling around the team, which was terrible, like the night of the AD got hurt against Philadelphia and they lost by 6,000 points. That seems like a million years ago at this point.
The last thing I would say is you mentioned the cushion to allow the Lakers potentially to work out a little bit of the kinks when you put Luka on the floor, because there will be things to figure out, and that is true. I also think, though, the idea of them being 10 games, 11 games, 12 games above 500 and, getting themselves potentially firmly out of that play-in mix, I think that's an incredible incentivizing force for a team that has had to spend the last couple seasons just busting their ass to get into the play-in and expending all that energy just to guarantee a 7 seed. I think the idea of we could avoid reliving that will in and of itself energize, the guys like LeBron and Reaves, Rui, whoever is a holdover from the last couple of years. That will be a massive incentive.
And think about how you would feel as a 2, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed, whatever it is, wherever they end up, playing a rested LeBron James in the first round on a team now led by Luka Doncic.
Unless it's Denver, you might not.
But even with Denver, it's such a different team now. And the first round too, it's not even that you'd have a rested version of LeBron on a team led by Luka Doncic. It's the round where it's not even every other day yet.
Sure, no,
like 2 or 3, like that for a way to start the playoffs. nobody's going to play this team. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out with over 30,000 subscribers. Thanks to everybody, apparently 661 of you who are joining in the chat as we speak, and the show and watching live. Again, we're going to try to do as much of this as possible to get the show up faster, particularly on West Coast game nights. We will see everyone tomorrow.